one thing I'm super grateful for is growing up with immigrant parents, because it showed me the patterns and the thoughts and the behaviors that got them to where they were and were also keeping them where they were. So my parents are doing well. I wouldn't say they're wealthy by any means, but they're doing pretty well for themselves. They've got a few investments, they've got, business, they've got a few properties, but it's my goal to be able to retire them in the next couple of years and to be able to just have them live off of whatever amount per year, and to be able to do that through my own investments, which I'm executing. And when it comes to this, I have 3 rules. And these 3 rules are my only sort of money rules that I follow. I don't budget, I don't look at or have specific targets or even invest in the traditional way, which is like, set aside 20% and put it into the stock market, or even invest in property. As a matter of fact, I'm actually looking at selling one of my investment properties because there's a much better advantage, and the trade-off just doesn't make sense, which I'm going to get to in the 3 money rules. So I wanted to share these 3 money rules because these are the things that combine not only what my parents did well and showed me and passed along to me, but also what I know that I can do better and what I'm betting on to get me to that next level. And this, I can comfortably say, will get me to an 8-9-figure net worth by the time I'm in my 30s. So my very first rule, I currently have a $7 million portfolio. So currently I'm almost at 8 figures, and I know for 9 figures it's going to probably involve like an exit or something like that. But I'm not worried about the how. I just know I just know and see it so strongly in my head. So here are the 3 rules and the 3 bets that I'm basically placing in terms of what's going to get me there. 1, everything I do, invest my energy into, which includes money, but as well as money is also my time and my mental bandwidth, has to have what I call my unfair advantage, meaning something that I am naturally curious about, something that I have an inclination towards, something I'm more talented, more knowledgeable in, more skilled at, something that I, wouldn't necessarily even consider an unfair advantage if I just asked myself, because that's what an unfair advantage is. You're so good at it, and it comes so naturally to you, or you've just gotten so proficient at it that you don't even consider what it's like to be a beginner or to not be proficient at it. But if you ask everyone around you, they'd be like, oh yeah, she's a weapon at this, or whatever it is. So your unfair advantage is a thing that that if you were put up against 100 other people, you would easily be in the top 2, top 3, that kind of thing. And if we're really being honest, like the top 1, right? So we want to find that unfair advantage. And for me, that's always been business ideas and marketing for businesses. I've been doing it since I was a teen for my parents' businesses. I was playing around with social media back in like 2016 for their little fish and chips store. And even started playing around with ads, even though I had no idea what I was doing, and helped them buy and sell businesses, all of that. And for me, I just really love the marketing side, and it's no surprise that I've ended up in the world of online marketing and doing digital marketing and doing stuff with social media and doing stuff with paid ads and funnels and all of that. I just can't get enough of it. I love it. I think about it. I'm literally studying it every second of my day, and that's when, like, for me, I'm just like, how can this be an unfair advantage if I love it so much and I'm just doing it? Like, I would do it for free anyway. But that's usually your clue, is like you're spending a lot of time learning about it, implementing it, testing, refining, playing with ideas in it. The second thing that I'm betting on are things that give an asymmetric upside. So the reason I don't necessarily like investing my capital right now into the stock market or even into real estate, especially in Australia, is because of the returns. So when I look at the returns, they just don't make sense in terms of, if I put that into my business right now, instead of a 10% annual return, or even 15% to be generous, I could be getting a 5-10x return if I allocate it well. So any employee that I hire, I'm thinking, how can this employee, like whatever money I'm investing into their salary, how can they generate 10 times that? Like, where am I giving them the leverage and the tools and the support to be able to do that? And that's both on me and also the person that I'm hiring and the skills that they bring to the table. And so asymmetric upside, the things that give you basically an unfair return. So these are the things that are not as subjective as let's say your unfair advantage, but they could be linked. But looking at just purely, okay, based off of all the vehicles you have now, what is your asymmetric upside? And I've kind of just said, worst comes to worst, I get to 35 and I start investing in the stock market then, right? That's fine. I'm okay with that trade-off, because that gives me the next decade or so, over a decade, to really focus on my honing in on my unfair advantage and my asymmetric upside. And the third money rule that I have, that I follow with my money, is it must help me reduce friction. So I used to be the biggest hoarder of money. So when I was, I think 16, I first saved 50K by working 3 jobs, grinding through jobs and saving every single paycheck. And that took me 2 years to do. And I was so scared of letting go of that money, to the point where I was limiting myself to a weekly budget of like $150. It was actually just so unpleasant to live in that and cause so many inconveniences, that looking back now, if I had just used that time to do other money producing activities, because I was running side hustles and I was also running a tutoring business at the time, if I just used that money for other things, I would have made more money than the money I saved from just budgeting. And so that's also where my budgeting rule comes from, is I'm in a vehicle where I can at will increase my income or do things to create a greater output. So I'm always weighing up, is the output that I'm going to get from investing the same amount worse or better than if I just saved it? And most of the times it turns out to be better if I just make it from the thing that I'm good at, my unfair advantage. And so things that reduce friction are the things that are stopping me from getting better at my unfair advantage, from doing the things that are my unfair advantage, from investing in my asymmetric upside. So these are really 3 simple rules. This means that, there was a period of time where we were looking at every single number, where we were tracking every single thing, but we've been doing it so often that we can kind of know. And there are so many tools right now with AI, and we've just built like a little machine ourselves, like an AI GP, to help us analyze this. But now we kind of know the pattern, and we know, okay, because we have different buckets and we have different cards and accounts, we know where our money is going. And we know where our investment and our times are going, which means that a lot of this stuff is put on autopilot. And so I guess that's a 4th unofficial rule for money, is like the more ingrained and more it becomes a habit, the easier it will be to sustain. So don't set crazy rules for yourself, like review every single line of the budget, unless when you absolutely have to. So like if you're in really bad debt in terms of like it's high interest and it's not actually building your equity, or anything like that, you're actually just creating the habit of tracking and learning to be familiar with money if you're someone who tends to want to avoid money. So don't create any rules that you can't follow, because if you can't follow them, that's actually just creating more friction. So I'm looking at what are the things that are creating a lot of bandwidth, what are the things that are taking a lot of my energy, and do they need to exist in my life right now? And so going back to what I was saying in the beginning, that's why we're getting rid of one of our investment properties, is because just the energy input versus output is no longer in the favor. I can get a much better return, and the trade-off right now just doesn't make sense. So I hope this helps. These are my money rules for my 20s, as someone who doesn't really budget, and as someone who has big goals and also runs serious business, and tries not to take life too seriously as well at the same time, because if you don't take things too seriously, it enables you to be flexible, and when you can be flexible, that's when you see opportunities and things that you wouldn't have had before. So hope this helps. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll catch you on the flippity flip.